That thing took off. Oh my god. Okay, let's go. You see them both light up?
Look at them.
That's unreal.
Vegas Dave versus Gary Vee. The biggest topic in the sports card industry right now. Who's right, who's wrong? Remember, it was me 3 years ago that predicted the market would boom. And now I'm the first person in the world to tell you this market's gonna collapse by the end of 2024. I'm gonna be right and Gary's gonna be wrong. Watch this video and find out why.
What is going on, YouTube? Run Good Life coming at you with yet another video, and today we're going to be doing something very different. I'm going to be reacting to this crazy video that Vegas Dave put out a couple weeks ago where he said that the sports card industry will collapse by 2024. Now, if you are unfamiliar with Vegas Dave, he is a very prolific sports gambler and bettor. He offers his picks, I think it's like $500 or $600 per picks, and just a very big personality, also very big on social media. It seems like he always has a camera crew following him around. He calls himself the king of content. I don't know about that. But he kind of is this douchebag in a way. But on the other hand, unfortunately, he does make some very good points. It's just very hard to extract those points when he's talking the way that he does, when he's positioning himself opposite of somebody, which I think was the major problem with this video. Some of the things he said just completely missed the mark, just completely fell flat, did not need to be in this video. But if you can unwrap those, if you can pull them apart from what his point of the video is trying to make, the point he's trying to make, I actually do think that he has some very valid concerns. And so I want to get into those. I want to offer my take as well. So the first thing that I really don't like about this video is that he immediately positions himself opposite of Gary Vee. He has to create an artificial drama between himself and Gary Vee, simply because I feel like maybe he thought that his argument wouldn't hold weight otherwise unless there was some manufactured drama in there. Now, Gary Vee and Vegas Dave are two of the most polarizing figures in the trading card industry right now. I think of the two, Vegas Dave sits a little more unfavorable than Gary Vee. I know there are people who really, really like Gary Vee, and then there's also people who think that Gary Vee is just shilling or just in it to make money. Whereas Vegas Dave, I think the general consensus, I don't know anybody who loves Vegas Dave in the sports card industry. I know a lot of people who hate Vegas Dave in the sports card industry.
It was me that bought the Mike Trout Superfractor for $400,000 and 2 years later flipped it to $4 million. Over a $3.5 million flip in under 24 months. That sale alone blew up the sports card market.
So here's the first true problematic statement in the video. Him claiming that his one sale alone blew up the market. And I just don't think that that was the case. This is a classic Vegas Dave just kind of shooting his mouth. This is his ego coming out in full force, saying that he is responsible for this giant boom period that we're seeing in the hobby. You know, he's claiming that this is all him because he bought the Mike Trout Super and then resold it for over $4 million. Now, did that impact it a little? Sure. But all of these giant sales impacted it a little. The slow rise of Luka and Trey stuff impacted it. Sports cards not being able to be found at the hobby and retail levels impacted it. There are so many factors that led to a hot market. The fact that there were no sports going on for most of early 2020 and everybody just feeling nostalgic and wanting to remember sports and wanting to be around sports and be ingrained in that culture, going and finding their old baseball cards or maybe going and buying a new baseball cards. They just wanted their sports. So I don't think for a second that Vegas Dave is 100% responsible for this hobby that we're in today. Maybe 5%, maybe 10%. Sure. Did he grab headlines? Yes. Was he responsible for where we are today? Absolutely not.
Let me tell you, I want to save this market. I want to save this industry. I still have over $1 million invested in this industry. So the whole point of this video is to tell you what's going to happen and hopefully we can prevent it from crashing. I think it's so crazy, and it's also amusing to me that people put up polls and they say 98% Gary Vee, ha ha ha, only 2% believe Vegas Dave. Guys, you guys are idiots, you are sheep.
So it really doesn't matter how valid that your argument is or what you're saying if you're just going to call your target audience idiots and sheep. So this is a really, really bad take by Vegas Dave. If he really genuinely cares about this market and wants to save it, he's not going to be turning away viewers who are immediately going to click off this video by being insulted. People don't want their intelligence insulted. People just don't want to be insulted in general. So for him to just start not only going after Gary Vee, but going after collectors, going after the same people who are going to be watching this video. Just a very, very bad take, and I would have definitely edited this out of his video.
It was me that predicted the market, not Gary. Gary predicted the market would boom a year after that video.
So I'm making the prediction here on the Rich Eisen show that sports cards is an incredible alternative investment for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Also, I am the first person in the world to let you know and to predict the market will crash by the end of 2024. The issue I have with Gary is that we both have millions of dollars in the industry. I don't care what people say. I'm raw. I'm real. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to give you advice. Gary can't tell you now after pumping cards every single week and every single month, it's going to crash, get out. It's like me selling picks to you and saying, buy my picks, but they're going to lose today. He's not going to do it.
So here it is. Here's the point where Vegas Dave just insinuates flat out that Gary is only in the industry to pump cards, and that he is proclaiming that the industry is going to crash in 2024. He hasn't given any of his facts yet for this. He's just made this bold claim, continuing to position himself the hero opposite of Gary Vee, and presenting a nice straw man argument too. His argument really has no weight in the comparison to him selling picks and saying they're all going to lose. That it's not even an argument compared to what he's saying about Gary. So again, just this is more rhetoric from him that I don't like, that I don't think was necessary, and that it leads me to believe that he doesn't even believe that his own statement about the industry, which is coming up in just a little bit, he doesn't even believe that this is strong enough to be its own video. So he has to stir up this drama with him and Gary Vee.
It's the difference between me and Gary, and the issue I have with me and Gary, he says he's real, but he's not real. Gary, I know you're watching this right now. You're brilliant. I'm brilliant. Real recognizes real. You know the market's going to crash. We both know it. When you lay your head on your pillow every single night, you know Vegas Dave is right and you're wrong. And here's another issue I have with Gary that I don't agree with. He's predicting the 86 Fleer Jordan is going to hit $1 million. He's wrong. It's going to go for over $1 million, 1.2, even more. And all you sheep in the industry are going to get excited because you think the market's exploding, but you should be terrified.
So at this point in the video, we're pretty deep in, and he is still going after Gary Vee very hard. This is really his first glimpse at why people should be terrified and why this market is going to crash. I really just don't like this entire line that he took against Gary Vee, especially here, because if Gary says the card's going to sell for $1 million and it goes for more, then Gary is right. So this argument is just continuing to be dumb. It's continuing to distract people from the real point of the video. People are, not going to watch a 15-minute video if he's calling them sheep, if he isn't getting to his point as to why it's going to crash. At this point, this just looks like a giant attack video, a giant slander video on Gary Vee. So this is, again, just a very, very bad shot video, a very badly edited video. He should have gotten to his point way, way sooner.
Gary Vee issue came upon because I made a simple post on social media. The market will fall apart by the end of 2024, just like the subprime mortgage industry did. Within minutes of that post, big auction houses, big dealers, big investors asked me to take the post down. Why? Because they agreed with me the market's going to crash, but they said it's booming right now and they want to make as much money as possible. These are the same people you guys are praising for making the market flourish and bringing the market to an all-time high. But they're playing you guys. You're praising them and hating me for telling you what they don't want you to know, that the market's inflated, it's going to crash. The reason why this market's going to crash is from overly inflated prices on certain cards. Let me give you an example. The Michael Jordan rookie, the Steph Curry rookie. Steph Curry National Treasure rookie was $20,000, $30,000 2 years ago. He didn't even play last year, and his card just sold for $980,000. Does that sound right to you? Michael Jordan's 86 Fleer rookie, 30 grand, 40 grand for years. The last dance happens, jumps to 100 grand. That makes sense. Then it goes to 200,000, 250,000, and this last week it goes from 250,000 to 730,000. Does that sound right to you?
So despite yet again Dave positioning himself opposite of somebody, this being auction houses and big players in the industry, he does finally make his first very valid point that certain cards in the industry are on a meteoric rise. Now we did just see this in the stock market with things like GameStop, AMC, we see it with Dogecoin over in crypto. So there are some other assets in different spaces on this meteoric rise, and we have seen the downfall. Those are very, very different scenarios, but we have seen a rise and a fall. And this is what Dave is speculating, that just like these other assets that he didn't mention, that things cannot go up in value this quick without there being a sharp drop off at some point. And this is a valid concern he raised, and he talks about this later on in the video. But yes, we are seeing certain cards in the industry definitely take off at a pace that some would consider to be concerning. It would be almost like a fever pitch, a FOMO, fear of missing out, if you will, that is generating these ridiculously high completed sales of cards. But he's going to talk about that more. But I do agree with his point that some of the completed sales of these kind of liquid landmark cards, iconic cards in our industry, are definitely very eye-popping.
Let me ask you guys a question. If I'm 160 pounds for 3 or 4 years straight, and I leave social media for a month, no one sees me, I come back a month later, I'm 240 pounds, shredded, ripped, at 4% body fat, what are you gonna think? You gonna think that's natural? Or you think these muscles are real? You're gonna think, no, it's steroids, growth hormone. Something unnatural happened to cause my body to change that fast in 30 to 60 days. Same thing with cards. How can you think these are real card prices that are going on in the industry? What's going on now in the industry is that certain people are buying big ticket cards and selling percentages and shares of that card to individuals in the market. Now a person that could never afford a $100,000 card can now own a piece or a share of that card and feel like they're a part of history. And this, what I'm explaining to you right now, has never happened in the market before until the last few months. For example, if I buy a $100,000 card, I would sell 25 shares of it at $10,000 a piece to people around the world. Just like that, the card goes from 100,000 to 250,000 and I make money. Once I receive my money, I then put the card for sale online, but I have one of my friends or buddies in the small community buy that card for $250,000. And what happens? The whole industry gets excited. Card value more than doubled. The investors get paid back their money. Everyone's happy. The card market's booming. And they repeat this over and over and over again. Sounds amazing, right? But this is the reason why sports cards are overly inflated right now. Remember the Michael Jordan card that just sold for $738,000? The Jordan card was $30,000, $40,000 for years. Bumped up to 100 grand from the Last Dance. I understand that because the Last Dance influenced a lot of people to get back in the industry and collect Jordan cards. But then it went from 150, 200, 250,000, all the way up to $730,000 within 2 weeks. How is that possible?
Congratulations, Dave. You just explained a timeshare. Now, this fractional purchasing, this fractional investing is not specific to the trading card world. We see this with sports cars. We see this with collectibles. So it is new to the sports card industry, but it's not new at all. Now, some of the math that Dave says in this segment is kind of fuzzy. You know, if he bought a card for $100,000 and then he sold shares of it and equaled $250,000. Well, number one, anybody spending that kind of money, even on a fractional share, is going to do their proper market research. And if the cost of the card does not support what the offering, they're just not going to buy in. Now, is there money to be made here? Yes. Are there going to be fees and things of that nature? But yes, but I do not agree with him wholeheartedly that somebody's just going to be able to buy up a $100,000 card and suddenly mark it up and collect double or triple that. I just don't see that with what I've seen with fractional investing. Now, I'm not a fan of this fractional and owning a share of a 52 mantle. That's just not me. I just want the physical card. But I am paying attention to this space because it is an emerging trend in the hobby. And some of the things that Dave is saying here just don't add up.
With all these cards being sold at all these record prices every week and every month, it's become an ego war now with people with money. Who can one up the other? Who can get this card? Who can pay for that card? So they're already boosting card prices that are overly inflated in the first place. Now, I know a lot of you are going to tell me that you saw in person cards at your local sports card shows sell for $4,000 or $5,000 that were once $400 or $500 that you saw with your own eyes. So you have to believe these sales are real. Yes, those transactions are real, but what you're missing is what's going behind closed doors, that the whole market's inflated all the way from the top, so it's bringing all these card prices from the bottom all the way up to mid-level to high-tier prices. Again, the whole community is affected by the people at the top, that small community selling shares of cards, inflating the market.
So celebrities get into pissing matches and spend their money however they want? Weird. No, that's not weird at all. That's what we see all the time. Celebrities live in huge privilege and wealth. They can do what they want with their money. They live lavishly. We see this. So them spending 2 times more than a card should be, that's nothing to them. So we are going to see these pissing matches between celebrities who want to spend $500,000, $1 million, all the way up to $5 million on cards. If people have the money and it's expendable income, they'll just spend it. So that doesn't concern me. The other point that Dave makes here is that what we used to consider to be high end, you know, those $3,000 to $5,000 cards are now being transacted, and everything down below is also creeping up. It's being pulled up by these ultra high end sales we see in this $1 million mark. That's just called a market correction. If something has to be $1 million, something that's, you know, all the way down, it trickles down. If a $500,000 card is now $1 million card, that means a $100,000 card is now a $200,000 card, and you go all the way down to the bottom to where a $1 card is now a $2 card. So that is all of these sales pulling up the market. That's just a correction, in my opinion. And to be completely honest, I think that a lot of the sets that aren't named Prism, Optic, Select, there are a lot of bangers out there from just random sets that aren't national treasures, that aren't these top sets, that are just severely undervalued to begin with. And I think that if the industry is going to be as hot as it is, those just needed to be pulled up anyways. So I'm not at all concerned by this $3,000 to $5,000 range coming up, and these cards that are under $10,000 being pulled up by cards that are selling for above $10,000.
How can you tell me that a Mahomes rookie is really worth $800,000 plus when it took over a decade before Brady's rookies hit over $800,000? That makes absolutely no sense. A guy that's been playing 2 years is going to surpass prices of Tom Brady, who's the GOAT? That makes no sense at all. And this is all caused by inflated prices in the industry. And one final card that I have personal experience with, Fernando Tatis, the dumbest investment in baseball. You're telling me a Fernando Tatis rookie, red refractor out of 5, sold for $250,000. I bought my Mike Trout red 3 years ago for $180,000. How can you tell me Fernando Tatis, who played 1 season during a pandemic, 60 games, how it's worth more than the Mike Trout red refractor that I bought 3 years ago? Trout was playing for almost a decade, the best modern day player in the history of baseball. $180 for his red refractor, Tatis $250,000. How does that make any sense? Wake up, people. These are all artificially inflated prices. Wake up.
So here is where I actually agree with Vegas Dave, that prospecting and speculating has gotten out of control. Some of the prices that we are seeing for young superstars like Mahomes and Tatis are just completely bonkers right now. These players are showing signs of greatness. They're showing that they have the potential to be talked about with the greatest ever when their careers are up, but some of them have done very little, especially Tatis, who, like Dave said, does not have a whole lot of time at the major league level, even though he has shown flashes of brilliance. Now, Mahomes, on the other hand, he does have a ring to his name. He just lost to Tom Brady in a Super Bowl. So maybe some of it's justified with Mahomes, but a guy like Tatis, some of the guys that we're seeing now, Luis Robert, guys who just have not done anything at the major league level. We're just seeing these insane prices, even on guys like Herbert, on guys like Burrow, on rookies like Zion and Ja. You know, there's a lot of excitement, but what tends to happen is these players will either fizzle out and they you know, 3 to 5 years down the line, they're not going to be a top 10 player of all time in the sport, or injuries derail them, or whatever the case may be. And that leads to their prices just tanking, or they're just a very, very good player. There are so many very, very good players in the league that just get no hobby love, and I talk about this a lot. So with this, a lot of people are going to get burned in the hobby. This is a sort of a correct statement by Vegas Dave, although he's going a different route. I'm going to say a lot of people are going to get burned by spending these exorbitant amount of monies on guys who just don't end up being top 10 of all-time players. And this is definitely something that I do kind of agree with him on.
Big surge in the market. You now see athletes, celebrities, big-time influencers getting involved in the market and the industry. All this does is just add credibility to the sports card market. An average person that looks up to a celebrity to see that celebrity buying cards, that average person is going to follow lead and jump in the sports card market. The whole market is hot right now because all this influence coming in. At the end of the day, all these prices and all this buzz is caused by those artificial sales at the top no one's talking about. Now you're seeing people invest in all types of sports. Tennis, golf, even Pokemon. Pokemon is garbage. That's the worst investment you can make. And also, stickers. This is a Michael Jordan rookie sticker. This is going for $55,000 right now. This was a couple $1,000s for years. You know what I think about this? This is what I think about this. And this is what's going to happen in the sports card market. It's going to burn, burn, and burn hard.
Oh boy. So this is where the video totally comes off the rails. You know, he is talking down about celebrities and influencers in the market. Dave, just if something gets hot, people are going to want to be a part of it. It's actually very cool that we have celebrities and especially athletes collecting their own cards. You know, when LeBron said that he came out and said he had a couple of exquisite rookies, that's awesome. Now, the other part of this video, man, he is just going off the rails. He gets his thumbnail here by burning the Jordan sticker, which is just a stupid move. And it's a very stupid move because he was just took part in a 86 Fleer box opening just about a month ago.
Came through, we had the box within a week, and we waited a month to promote this. Now the box is going for about $250,000. So we made this happen within weeks, just to give back to our followers and fans and the charities that we selected. You guys, Williams, Clark Kellogg, Gus Williams, Jordan!
But he just opened a box of 86 Fleer. They just pulled Jordans. They just had a bunch of good moments, a whole bunch of celebrities, the same celebrities that he's now attacking, a part of that break. So I'm so confused by this line that he's taking. The burning of the Jordan sticker was not necessary. Him going after Pokemon, just not necessary, and sounding like an idiot. You know, whoever is behind the camera, hey Dave, it's Pokemon, not Pokemon. They could have just done that, and that would have made him sound at least a little bit more credible, but the video is totally come off the rails at this point. You know, if you've stuck around this long into his video and you're already just not sure, you know, you're kind of on the fence about what he's saying, this is just where it completely loses all traction, probably with the majority of the people who watch this video. This is why this video was so memed, because he burned the card. That's all people wanted to talk to me about. Did you see Vegas Dave burn the card? Not, do you believe what Vegas Dave said? It's, did you see Vegas Dave burn the card?
Remember, nothing lasts forever. This reminds me exactly of the subprime market crash in 2007 when the U.S. economy got wiped out. This is not going to destroy the U.S. economy, but it will destroy the sports card industry and it will destroy the hobby because the trust is all gone. I do give Gary credit for one thing in particular. He did predict that the sports card market would boom after me, and he also said the sports betting industry would boom. These are the two top sectors to invest in. Guess who the king of both of them are? Me. Let me be clear. I want this market to flourish. I'm actively invested. I have over $1 million in the industry. No other distributor, no other big investor, no big auction house is going to tell you the truth. Only I am. And the crazy thing is that you guys are giving these people so much praise for bringing the market back and having the market explode. These are the same individuals that are destroying the market and lying to you. I'm the one telling you the truth, and I only want to do this so I can protect the market. Remember, it was me that predicted the market would explode. Many of you guys laughed at me back then. I'm going to be the first one to tell you the market's going to collapse by the end of 2024. I wouldn't laugh at me this time. So mark my words, the sports card industry will collapse by the end of 2024.
So in one of the final segments of the video, here he is putting himself over yet again as the king of sports cards, the king of sports betting, and not offering any kind of call to action. You know, he's just saying that the market's going to collapse. But if he really wanted to save the market like he's talking about, if he's not just trying to make a hot take for views and for content, he would offer some sort of call to action here. How can we prevent the market from crashing if it is indeed going to crash in 2024? No call to action at the end of this video, just more shots at Gary Vee at the very end, which I'll show after my segment here. But there's no call to action. There's no, hey, this is how we fix it. This is how we turn it around. It's simply, it's going to crash. This is my hot take. I'm the first to say it. I'm the best at everything, blah, 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 blah. So again, just more not credibility here at the end. I would have loved to see a call to action. I would have loved to hear more insight. You know, if he's really into this, if he's really invested, if he really cares, what's your call to action? How do we save the market? Now, the big question is, does Run Good think that the market is going to collapse in 2024 or earlier? My take is I don't know, and I'm not going to go on here and I'm not going to make a bold prediction. I'm not going to make a clickbait title. I'm not going to give you my bold take. I'm not going to give you any kind of investing advice on this channel. I never do that. Now, I will say things cannot just keep continuing on at a fever pitch. We are due for a correction. You see corrections in literally every market when there's FOMO, fear of missing out. I think that's where we're at now. I think with what you see with 25 people at a Target waiting for cards, with what we see with singles and the prices of things continuing to go up, new records being set every day on not just those liquid cards, but on all cards in general, with everything being pulled up, you know, tennis cards, Marvel cards now up, Pokemon kind of pulling back a little bit. I do think that we are in line for a correction, but in terms of hotness in the hobby, I think this is a very special time. I think it's going to remain hot. I think that it's not going to grow at what we've seen from 2020 to now, but I do think that it is going to continue to grow. Maybe not at that straight up pitch that we're seeing right now, but it is going to continue to grow. I don't know where this ends. All I know is that everything does come and go in cycles. You know, we see this every 20 years, something gets hot, nostalgia, culture just repeats itself. Fashion from the 80s gets hot again. Fashion from the 90s gets hot again. You see this with everything. Are we in a junk wax era? That's a different conversation. I don't think so, but that's a different video. I don't think that it's just going to be an outright collapse. And maybe I'll do a follow-up on some thoughts on that, but I know this video has gone long. But no, I don't think that there's any validity to what he is saying. So that's going to do it for me today. I'm going to leave you with this final segment, which I just think is stupid. Again, more just unneeded shots at Gary Vee. But I wanted to come on here. I wanted to react. And definitely, you know, this is a hot button topic in the hobby. So I wanted to give my take. That's going to do it for me today. And hit that subscribe button. We'll do more trading card rips. I know this isn't a normal video, but I felt compelled that I had to chime in as somebody who's been in the hobby literally all my life, who's seen it all, and who has some very strong opinions and very strong takes myself. I definitely had to respond to this Vegas Day video. So that's going to do it to me. Here's this Knucklehead's final segment.
And one more thing. A lot of you people in the industry are saying, I'm not going to listen to a guy who predicted the Saints to win the Super Bowl. Let me just remind you, who's Gary's team? Let me get it out of the garbage can. The New York Jets. Enough said.